Let me introduce you to a man with a magnificent salt and pepper beard. A man who's currently roasting lamb on a spit. A man who runs the Rocky River Greek Festival. That man is Jake Trotter.
And he joins on the Brian Heating Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. Before we get into all the football, were you in Browning, Montana last week?
I was.
So, yeah, you're an hour north of where I grew up.
No way. Where'd you grow up?
Yeah. Near Great Falls, near Choteau, Montana.
I was in Great
Right on the
Falls.
Rocky Mountain front.
Wow, what an incredible place to grow up, though. How did I not know that?
I don't know. So what I always say, because they were in our Browning wasn't, but Hart Butte was. Browning was a little bit of a bigger school than the one I grew up, which is probably crazy for you to wrap your head around. But yeah, so that's the one I reference all the time is the Blackfeet Reservation, which is where you were volunteering last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was in Hart Butte actually a lot. We flew into Seattle, took a train to Whitefish, Montana. Have you been to Whitefish before? Obviously,
I was born in Kalispell, yeah, and go to Whitefish. Went to Whitefish all the time. Yeah.
Whitefish is one of the coolest places I think I've ever been to. Like you could film a movie there by the train station. Yep. Incredible little downtown, and it looks like it basically feels like you're on the set of Yellowstone, right?
Yeah,
when you're there.
Yes,
and then. Yeah, I spent a lot of time in Kalispell. The airport looks like a Cabela's basically, and the drive through Glacier National Park, which, by the way, what an unbelievable place that is. Mm-hmm. Down to Browning is like I can't even believe this place exists in the world. So yeah, I was there for a week. Wow, we got more to talk about, but we do. I had to make there's limited supplies in Browning. Mm-hmm. I'll put it that way. So I had to make a drive to Great Falls, your hometown, to find a grocery store.
Yeah, I always say to people, like, you have no idea. Like, people, like the Native American experience a lot of time is through, like, the Yellowstone experience. And I'm like, that ain't Browning. That's not at all. No. Like, the poverty level is so stupefying there. It's really sad.
You can't believe that in America in 2025, people live the way that they do on some of these reservations.
It's crazy. Absolutely is. All right. Mm-hmm. From that to Las Vegas, I was listening to Tony Petitti yesterday, and I did this off the top of the show, which would have been very early for you, so I'm not going to hold it against you. Didn't listen. I don't feel like Tony Petitti represents Ohio State at all. I don't.
Why do you say that?
I don't think 4 automatic bids applies to Ohio State. I don't think Ryan Day wants to play another high leveraged game in November. I think Ohio State does plenty of that. To me, it feels like he is. I mean, at one point he talked about how we got to get conditioned to 8-4 teams making the playoff. That's not an Ohio State problem. To me, it felt like somebody who was the commissioner of the Big 12. It just did not apply to Ohio State in any way, or maybe a commissioner for the rest of this league that isn't Ohio State, Michigan, Oregon, USC, and maybe even Penn State.
One thing I laughed about, though, was Petitti was up there and he was lamenting the slowness of the NCAA infractions process, which we all agree is ridiculous, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, like, the Michigan situation's still ongoing and it should be wrapped up fairly soon. But the fact that 2 years later, we're still kind of waiting for a finality to it is crazy. But I did laugh at the irony of, I feel like we've been talking about the playoff expansion for 5 years at this point, and we're not any closer to a solution. So it ain't just the NCAA. It is like all parts of college football and college sports. The part that I think is kind of bizarre, and Ryan didn't. He didn't say he was against it, but I can't imagine that Ohio State wants to play a play-in game to get in the playoff. I mean, what in the world? Do you really want to go play Iowa before the playoff when you're 11-1 or 12-1? I mean, it makes no sense if you're Ohio State. So, I think the current format benefits Ohio State pretty well. Mm-hmm. And, the one thing Day did say is, if we don't go to a format where the Big Ten gets 4 automatic teams then we're not going to play Texas. Because what is the point? Because we're going to finish in the top 4 in the Big Ten, and if this just comes down to a committee and, trying to measure up in equitable scheduling formats, then, we're not even going to bother with it. So I think the other side of that, Bo, the more I thought about it is, okay, it's really cool that Ohio State and Texas are playing. Is it going to be that cool if there are absolutely zero stakes in the game? It's just going to be like a preseason NFL game. I know.
Yeah.
We are diminishing the regular season in ways that I think are unintended by the direction that we are going.
There's no question that this goes to what I was talking about in the first hour. Like, the things that mattered most to us are, the things you love most about college football, the regionality. Well, we've lost that. The other thing that we absolutely loved about it was this notion of, that goes back to the regionality. My conference as good as yours, or they're better. The seedy underbelly I loved, right? Like, who's cheating, who's not. Now it's all above board. None of that matters. And then the third thing that you loved was every game matters. And now all of a sudden you're trying to tell me that a 3 versus 6 play-in game, and if the 3 loses, they still should get into the playoff? Like, what are we doing, man? And I know it's just about satisfying his television partners, but boy, I think it's a very slippery slope. And to your point, I don't think it applies to Ohio State at all. Ohio State, and we have 2014 as proof of this, Ohio State is always going to get the benefit of the doubt. Always. You could argue both Baylor and TCU should have got in over Ohio State in 14, but who did they go with? Buckeyes. They're not. These are not Ohio State problems. And listening to him, I'm like, he doesn't represent Ohio State really at all.
Yeah, it does feel like they're trying to throw a bone to the Illinois of the world.
Sure.
The way that they're going about this, which, all right, fine, but they're not the ones that carry the Big Ten. They're not the ones that make the money. And I got into a debate with May on the air here a couple of weeks ago. I don't like us preordaining playoff spots. It feels weird to me to say that, like, if you're good enough, you're good enough. You're Ohio State. Like, if you're good enough, you're going to be in. And that's why, like, all these machinations, it just doesn't feel like it's about Ohio State. I mean, imagine, Bo, we said, all right, the AFC North is getting 3 teams in this year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just not the way that football should be handled. And are the schedules equal in the NFL? They never are, and they've never been in college football. It's just kind of part of the game. So, this idea, and Tony was saying it yesterday, this idea that if you're 8-4, he said this.
He said it.
If you're 8-4, you deserve to go to the playoff. I was like, what is he talking about? Who is 8-4 that deserves to be in the playoff? Are we trying to orchestrate more playoff blowouts?
Yeah. I'm with you on all of it. And the other thing that he failed to mention when he was doing that comparison is everything he did was a professional comparison. Professional sports in this country has salary caps. They have revenue share. They have contracts. They have a draft. And they're quick to talk about all of that. And he's quick to use the pro comparison, but we don't want any of that for these guys. So, none of it. I just thought it was just silly. You wrote a great piece today about Ohio State and the quarterback. It's up at ESPN.com. And Ryan and kind of his approach to this. What did you glean from Coach Day in terms of how he's going to go about this process of naming a starter and how perhaps he's going to treat this room going forward?
Well, I think, number one, my sense is that this is closer than either people realize or people expected. Mm-hmm. And I think Lincoln, impressed in the spring. He's making this really difficult. And, the other part of it, and Dave said this before, he's not going to decide when to name a starter. The locker room is going to decide. Mm-hmm. They're going to know who the guy is. And that's when the decision is going to be made. It's just, at that point, it's going to be mere formality when they announce it. So I think this is like a legit quarterback competition. Sometimes they say there's a quarterback competition and there's really not. I wonder if there's going to actually be one at Michigan, for example. I think it's just a matter of time before Bryce Underwood, is the starter. Whether that lingers into the season or they just do it in August. But with Ohio State, I think it's going to be really interesting. I also think that whoever they pick, they got to stick with that guy early on. because you can't name a starter and then, he struggles against Texas, which might be the best team in the country. And then, now you're in this, months long quarterback competition that I don't think is going to serve anybody very well. But they're in a tricky situation because I think both guys are going to make this interesting, and it could really go down to the wire. Like you talk to some of these players, and I don't think they know right now who should be the quarterback, and that should tell you how close it is.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that I think those of us here locally, and obviously you're in this part of the country. I think most of us are on point with that. And Ryan's done this every year, so it's just what's his timetable on it? And I do think that what you said is an important point, that they do want whoever's starting the Texas game to be 10 feet tall and bulletproof. And so there has to be a full belief in that. Did he give you any? I'll get you out of here on this one. Did you have any feel on a timetable for him on this, or was he pretty vague?
The quarterback competition?
Yeah.
He was vague. And again, I think that they're waiting to see who emerges. And, the summer, to a lesser degree, is part of the equation. But I think this is there for the taking. And I think these first, 3 weeks of preseason ball are going to determine, which way this leans. But I think right now, I legitimately think it's an open competition. I think some people probably would want it to be Sayin just because the pedigree, but Lincoln is an incredible athlete. Who he reminds me of is Sam Bradford in that he's got this. He's a great golfer. Baseball star. All whatever basketball can dunk. I mean, that's the way Sam Bradford was coming out of Putnam City North High School. And Sam Bradford was like a 3-star guy. Nobody really thought of him as a high-level quarterback recruit. But all the things that he can do just kind of reminds me of Sam. And I think that like those type of guys, that have that kind of natural ability in whatever sport they're playing. That's kind of intriguing. So I think this is it's a real battle. I would not be shocked. Like August 15th, we're like, all right, who's the starter? We don't know yet.
I think you have the right read on that, my friend, as is typically the case. I'm glad you enjoyed the home state, and it's great talking to you as always, buddy.
Let's talk more Montana off the air. I'm curious to hear more.
Anytime. I'll tell you about how I needed a police escort to leave Heart Butte, Montana, my senior year. Well, that was a fun time, to say the least. There he goes. Okay. Jake Trotter joining us. You as well on the Brian Heating and Cooling Systems fan guest hotline. We'll do a little thing or not.